You need to buy yourself a gun. What? Gun? What? Like a handgun for personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a camp? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle and a lot of ammo. Gun?
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Jack for the cops in riot gear, gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat, you gotta drag them through the streets.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Primer Time. My name is Michael.
Hey, and I'm Dan. How you doing, Michael?
Not too bad, Dan. What's going on with you tonight?
Oh, not a lot. It's a beautiful evening here in East Tennessee. How about you?
It's nice and humid here. I got somebody here with us that can relate to my humidity experience. We've got friend of the show, Gringo. What's going on?
How you doing, guys? Nice to be here.
Hey, Captain.
Thanks for being here with us.
Appreciate it. So you're a big firearm enthusiast?
Oh, yeah. I was raised around them.
Love it.
So that's what we're looking for.
You were raised around ever since you were a kid. You started with BB guns, or what'd you start with?
Oh, yeah. I started BB guns, just like I started my boy. And, heck, even when I just had toy guns, the safety rules were already in effect. My dad, you didn't point even a toy gun at him. So, started BB guns. Then they bought me a falling block octagon barrel 22, and only turned me loose with shorts at first. And after that, heck, they turned me loose pretty much anything then.
Well, they broke you in correct, obviously. So that's great. How old were you?
Oh, man, I think I was in third grade when my stepdad went and picked me up from school to head out deer hunting, and that's when he bought me that 22. And that got me out of school early, so he'd take off and go up to the ranch, go hunting, and right there in the school parking lot, that's where I got my first 22.
Oh, that's neat. So you were about 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old then, correct?
Yep.
That is awesome.
And
you still hunt to this day?
Oh, yeah. We hunt all doves. I don't do much duck hunting. Every now and then do a little duck hunting. Doves and deer, turkey, predator hunting. I love predator hunting.
You hunt those hogs there in Texas also?
Oh, yeah. We get on them hogs pretty regular, too.
I'm dying. Michael tells me there's a lot of them down there. I'm dying to come down and shoot some of those things.
Oh, man, it's a lot of fun. We trap them, we chase them with dogs, still hunt them, walk in the woods, walk up on them, or heck, even just sitting out when you're deer hunting, get lucky and one come by, too.
That's wild.
Sometimes, and most of the time, it's not just one comes by. It's a whole bunch of them come by.
Yes. They travel in packs.
So you pick out the largest one?
No, usually if I'm after hogs to eat, I'm after them 175 pound, 100 pounders, maybe a little bigger, but the biggest ones, I'm not after those. I'm after them young, good, tender ones.
Oh, okay, they're more tender. Younger they are.
Well, yeah, the younger hogs are the tasty ones for the barbecue. That's an absolute truth right there. Here, you have to be careful driving at night. I'm sure everybody I know has either hit a hog or had a family member or a close friend hit a hog in the middle of the night. I'm sure it's the same with you, Gringo.
Yeah, and man, they're bad. You know, people don't realize hitting deer's bad and everything, but a hog, they're so low to the ground and such a hard-boned animal, they can really tear some stuff up. You know, the bumper hits center mass on a hog, not like a deer a lot of times. You know, they'll just roll them over the hood. With a hog, buddy, it's a full impact.
Tear up your radiator and everything else, I would imagine. So you see a lot of these hogs on the side of the road, roadkill, I would imagine?
Yeah.
That's wild.
There's quite a few dead on the side of the highway. There's quite a few dead. Every day, they're not real swift about picking them up in the more rural areas.
Yeah.
So they come by.
Yeah, you come by a month later and there's still just a big old grease spot there.
That's crazy. So
it's rough when you hit them like 3 days after they've been hit and haven't been picked up. Then you start wondering about the breakdown of city services and supplies and things like that. Because
wouldn't it be tastier? It'd be aged meat then, be tastier.
That's right. That's right. It's marinated in its own guts. Aged for 3 days on rare asphalt.
I want an ammo rundown from Captain Gringo in his part of the neck of the woods there.
Well,
what's the availability of it?
Funny you asked that. You know, I was just in Bass Pro Shops up in Pearland, which is between me and Houston. And anytime I'm in there, I always make a lap through the ammo aisle. And I was really surprised. It was the most ammo I've seen on the shelves in a long time. Any kind of rifle ammo, pretty much, you know, 223s, 5.56s, anything except 22 rimfire. And plenty of pistol ammo too. There was, you know, 40, 45s, 9mm, 380s, 38s, you name it. But no 22 rimfires.
You know, it's funny, the gun shop, we're able to get that stuff now. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Well, I've seen several places near me have plenty of 22. Some places have actually taken off their restriction. They may run out, but it's not necessarily a huge deal. They're not going back to the restrictions. All the local gun shops have plenty of ammo. They are quite pricey still. So I would say avoid the gougers. 10 cents a round is too much to pay. Give it a little bit of time. You know, there's 70 million gun owners in the United States. I think we can all agree that it's fair to say that half of them have a 22. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility. So if everybody who has a firearm, that's 35 million people with a 22. If everybody wants 500 rounds, that comes out to be 1.8 billion rounds on one brick of 500. Well, I don't know about you gentlemen, but I'd like to have a couple bricks of 500 sitting around.
Be pretty nice, wouldn't it?
Well, you know, CCI can only make 4 million rounds a day, working overtime. So
I just know one thing.
It's coming back.
It's terrible to go out there and plink with 22 and almost feel guilty about thinking about the price of 22 ammo and replacing that ammo if I needed to.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that speaks volumes right there because, you know, all of us know, heck, 22, you never think twice about it. You just keep shooting them until you're tired of shooting. Yeah, you don't ever even think about how much it costs. You just did it. And I think that's volumes.
And you really just shot until you got tired of reloading is really what it was.
I had speed loaders for my Ruger Mark II bull barrels that I target shoot with a lot, Michael, and you could load a magazine in about 2 seconds with that thing. You just have to keep pouring 50 into the box, and they would shuttle right in. It was pretty neat loader. But
that was the bit. It looked like a big syringe. It was kind of a large, had kind of an offset place where the needle would be.
No, it's just a box basically. It had a sliding lid on the top of it, and it had a channel that ran past the length of the box, and the bullets would fall into the channel and slide down along and line up in that channel there. And then you'd ram your magazine up inside of that thing, and it would push your spring back on your magazine and drop those bullets in at the same time. So you could just ram it right up in there, and 10 bullets automatically in your magazine, pull it out, stay in the gun, and shoot. And you could go through a brick in about an hour loading it that way. That's how fast it was loading them.
So that's what we found we do. We end up usually loading up all the magazines before we go out. We don't wait till we go, and that saves a little bit of time. But it does take quite a bit of time to load up magazines anymore.
Oh yeah, we used to.
I haven't seen anything that works really for a 1022 magazine to load it very fast though.
We used to talk about that. Me and my friends when he'd shoot. We'd say, "Man, I wish we had a kid we could pay to load our magazines for us while we're shooting here." Because you spend half your time or more than half your time at the range loading magazines, as it turns out.
Yeah. I've got a Ruger Mark III target pistol also with a bull barrel on it, and you can go through some rounds quick with that thing. That's sure is fun to shoot.
Oh yeah, that's the Mark III. A Hunter is it the Hunter version.
It's a stainless model.
Those are nice. They're just heavy. They're really heavy.
Yes, very heavy. That's the only thing. One thing I like, a pro and con, as far as carrying it all the time. Heavy to carry in your hip all the time, but as far as practice versus using a bigger pistol, it's still got the weight, so it kind of compensates there.
Yeah.
Well, I had a Mark II with a 7-inch bull barrel that had the flat side, the slab-sided bull barrel. And with that 7-inch barrel on it, it was, you knew you had something in your hands when you aimed. It was that's something I want to hold out at arm's length for about 40 minutes or anything like that.
No, it's heavy, no doubt about it.
That's okay. They make some 45s that shoot 22 ammo that mimic the 45 also.
ATI has a nice kit. American Tactical Imports.
ATI, that's who I was thinking of. I couldn't remember who it was, Michael. That's correct. It's just as heavy as a regular Colt 45.
That's right. They make the ATI is the importer, and they import actually two different things. They import a whole entire pistol that's exact weight, feel, parts change out, swap out exactly with a Colt 1911, and then they also make just the upper, a dedicated upper for the dedicated slide portion of an ANA magazine, so you could swap that out into your own frame if you wanted to.
A conversion kit, in other words, right?
That's right, and it comes out to be, I believe their kit is $299, which is pretty much a good deal compared to some of the other kits. I think everybody would say that the Jonathan Senior kit up until a couple years ago was the premier conversion kit, but that was somewhat difficult to get a hold of.
Okay. Captain, what's your favorite go-to rifle?
Whichever one I can put in my hands faster. But,
come on,
I tell you, I'm not an AR fan, if that's what you want to hear. I'm not a big AR fan.
I don't want to hear anything. I just want to hear what you go to. What you go
to. Shoot, like I say, pretty much anyone that's handy, man. I've got several different kinds.
To be honest with you, and I own AKs and ARs, but I prefer a bolt action as my go-to weapon because I can hit anything with it.
Well, yeah, just every job's got its tool, and shoot, man. I really, like I said, I don't have a favorite, man. That's kind of like asking a musician to pick his favorite song, man. I really don't have one.
I know what you mean. But still, we all have our little favorites. You know what Michael's favorite gun is? One of those little mouse guns, those little 22 North American Arms 22s.
Absolutely. So that's one of my total favorites.
I think they're cool little guns. You know that, Michael. I have several of them.
I think they're totally useful. for somebody who wants something, and they don't break the bank. That's the best part. They're one of the coolest little items out there, and they come in under $250.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
that's a good deal.
There's tennis shoes. There's tennis shoes that cost more than that.
Yeah,
You know?
shoot, yeah. Well, I guess, my 1022, I don't ever leave the house and go on any kind of hunting trip without throwing the 1022 in the truck.
That's an old stance. Everybody has a 10.
It never hurts to have another one sitting around.
That's a great thinking firearm, and you can accessorize the thing to death if you want to.
Yeah.
You can literally spend 3 times what the rifle costs just accessorizing the thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. One of the items I'd like for a 1022 is made by Fostech Outdoors, and it's the same thing as a slide fire stock. They're actually the company that came up with the slide fire stock concept originally, and they've got a modified version of their original slide fire stock, and the one that I want costs $700, and man, that's 3.5, 4 times the price of a 1022. You know, it's $400 for the stock and $300 for the drop-in trigger that you need to put in it to make it function the way it should. So
it takes a stock and a trigger to make this thing function?
Yeah, in the 1022.
In near full auto mode or whatever?
Yeah, controllable bump fire. It uses a Timony trigger setup that's $300.
Timony trigger, yes, very expensive.
Very, very expensive, very high quality triggers, but yeah, very pricey. And it's $300 for the trigger if you buy it from them, and they actually make it. I guess there's some way you have to make it fit to the stock, and they'll make sure that everything fits if you buy theirs. You can buy just the stock and get your own trigger, but then I guess it's out of the warranty or whatever. At $700, I'm not buying one anytime soon.
No, that's a little pricey.
Little steep.
Yeah, I mean, just for something that's really in the end, it would end up being just a fun range toy that I would probably get to shoot one quarter of the time that I took it out or less, because anybody I'd go out with would end up shooting it more than me. Yeah, and that's the way it always works. Never fails, man. With all the cool 22s, that's what always happens to me.
I love to smile on people's faces.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's why I take people out with me, right? But, there's a couple times where I just want to, I'll throw this magazine down range and see what happens. But, hey, our whole point is getting people out there and getting them familiar with firearms and getting them to appreciate what we love. So that's a small price to pay.
Yeah, no doubt. And, that's one thing as a kid going out shooting, and heck, it was common. Everybody, hey, you want to shoot this gun? You want to shoot this? You learned to operate every gun everybody had there that day. There was never, you could walk up to anybody and say, hey, man, can I shoot that? Why, you sure can, young man. I guess I don't go hang out at gun ranges anymore, but I just don't see that going on as much anymore either, though.
I don't hang out at gun ranges either. To be honest with you, I go and I shoot at the dump. And I'll be really honest with you, up until 4 or 5 days ago, I thought it was completely legal to shoot at the dump, but I got told that it may not be, so I may have been shooting in a not okay area for a long time. But I mean, it's really a good spot. Yeah, it's a good spot. I mean, it's a great big dugout pit area. It's got a good backstop, and well, to be honest with you, it's full of trash, and some of that trash needs killing. Like
targets galore up there, right?
Toilets need killing. TVs need to be destroyed. Old propane tanks need to be blown up.
Targets galore. That sounds like fun, Michael.
Targets of opportunity.
Trash is some of the best stuff to shoot.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
I'm going to have to either find a new spot or figure out exactly what the ruling is on being able to shoot at the dump. I really hope I can still continue to shoot at the dump, because it's I could be there in 5 minutes. So,
Oh, that's cool. That's one thing I like where I live right now. I can step out on the back porch and shoot. So
Yeah, that's
no more
good
fun to the
stuff.
range for me.
That's good stuff. There's getting to be less and less places to shoot. You know, a lot of these ranges, I don't know if it's just new rules in the counties or different places, but most of them are going to be private memberships now, and you can't just walk up there and pay $5 or $10 shoot for the day. A lot of them, these smaller ones anyway, are going to private memberships where you got to be able to buy a yearly membership.
We have a couple of ranges that are open to the public. They're in national parks, believe it or not. And you pay $2 to park in there and use the range. You can stay in there all day if you want to. And they're not very well maintained, and one of them is like 150 yards and the other is 100 yards. But at least you can go out there and shoot anything you want. You can take a 50 cal out there and shoot it if you want to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, up in Houston, they got a real nice gun range up there. I think it's George R. Bush Park or something. But, I mean, it's right by Houston, on the west side of Houston there, but it's just too dang far for me to drive up there regular.
Yeah.
Is it by the George R. Brown Center?
Man, it's way out there, almost on to Katy, out there outside of like on Westheimer, outside 6.
Oh, that is a truck and a half.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good pull.
That's a good distance away. Yeah, it's much easier to go find a field somewhere in that situation. I mean, that's at least an hour drive for you.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're not really stocked with woods in my area. I'm kind of, coastal flatland. So the dump was I really hope I don't lose the dump. Because, I know that there's like 6-8 propane cans out there that still haven't been shot.
I've had a lot of good times at the range also, Michael. I was a member of a Kettlefoot gun club. You can look it up sometime. It was pretty awesome range. Our long rifle range was 300 yards, and had targets at 50 and 100 and 200 and 300 yards, and it was an awesome place to shoot a rifle. Just to see how good you really were with one. And they had several pistol ranges, 50-yard pistol ranges. They held national matches at this place before and everything. So it was a pretty cool gun club, and everybody there was really nice. And like Captain was talking about earlier, if somebody was shooting something, you walk up, hey, what are you shooting there? And they would be happy to tell you about it. And they were always real proud of their very expensive weapons. And do you mind if I take a crack with it? No, take a shot or two, And they had all these special loads, and a lot of people were really into that stuff. I just like to show up with kids and shoot and introduce kids to firearms and take them out there. That was my favorite thing. But a lot of them were there just for more of a social type thing, and look what I've got, but they couldn't shoot worth a crap. Sort of like the guy that rides a bicycle all dressed up, looks like Lance Armstrong, but he can't make it up the hill.
Yeah. There's the guys with the Harley gear that are like that.
When I was a kid, grew up hunting and shooting. I figured everybody else grew up that way too. And going out to the range, that really changed my thinking of that. It's like, man, you can't hit that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And another thing about range shooting is a lot of times you would shoot bench rest, with sandbags and wrist and all that stuff, and that's like shooting ducks on a pond. Basically, if you've got a good scope on a gun and it's lined up and you got it dialed in, you can set the gun there and take your head away and just pull or push on the trigger with your not even looking and hit what you're aiming at. I used to have a blast doing that too. I'd line one up like a balloon at 200 yards, and I had a 2-pound trigger, and it took a little tap on it, not too bad, but as long as I just tapped on it just right and didn't move the gun, it would pop that balloon at 200 yards, and I wouldn't even be looking through the scope. I just line it up and let it sit there. Pretty neat.
Yeah, well, that range time too. Sit there and consistently being able to see what your gun's doing. Well, that's what just gives you that confidence when you're out in the field with it. that when you throw it up there, you know exactly where that bullet's going. It's not I know it's close. No, that son of a gun's right. It's inch and a half high at 100, or dead on at 100, or whatever you have it set for. And that confidence with it, nothing replaces that, man.
You're exactly right, and that's I've got a 308 that I've had that situation with. I'm just the thing. I sighted in just right at 25 yards, and it was an inch and a half high at 100 yards and dead on at 200 yards. So it was like awesome. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's just sitting there and playing with the gun and dialing it in and seeing where it's hitting, seeing what it does. Seeing what the wind does, where it hits, the wind blowing in a certain direction and stuff. That's a lot of fun. You can spend some hours doing that stuff.
Well, that brings us to our main point is to get out there and shoot. Get out there and practice, become familiar with your weapon. Even though some of these things cost money, because, well, even a sandbag costs a lot of money. I mean, a higher-end sandbag can be $90, and that's just a bag to rest your weapon on. But there's ways around that, Right now, it's getting to be summertime. There's those pool noodles at every store. Buy a pool noodle and put that on a hunk of 4x4. Duct tape it to it. You got yourself a cheap rest right there.
A nice rest, yeah. Won't protect your firearm? That's correct, Michael. And put linen on it or whatever, or cover it up. Pretty neat. Good idea.
So I mean, there's ways to get out there and do what you see the guys in the magazines doing. And once again, I'm sorry about the magazines. We don't discuss the the $4,000 .22 rifle or the $9,000 shotgun. That's not my domain. So I like to keep things into the budget side of the fence. And making your own stuff for it. A friend of mine and I, we ended up making some frames for targets, and we just used scrap plywood and scrap lumber we had sitting around. So, that beats going out and buying the $230 stand that they have at the specialty sporting goods store.
Yeah, but it goes clang and then pops back up, Michael.
No, this is just a stand. You still have to load the thing with your own target. It's not like a reactive target, Dan. No.
Oh, okay. Just a stand.
Yeah.
I tell you guys, one thing I do, I was just looking at the chat room here, and somebody's there. Jack's talking about everybody daydreaming about target practice. I shoot my air gun a lot. It's just a 177 breakover, Daisy pellet gun. But that breathe and squeeze, that's it. It counts in air guns. It counts in all rifles. It's still the same thing, and it's still affordable.
Well, that's what we're seeing right now. Where 22 is either through the roof, our old standby. Many people have switched to 9mm or even 5.56. I don't even see why people shoot 5.56 instead of 22. But you're right. Just getting out there and getting a little bit of trigger time on something, and it reinforces all the good habits, all the lessons. And well, no matter what it is, you can always still practice the 4 rules of safety with it.
Damn right. Right. And one thing about air gun too, it can cure you of that flinching. There's people that develop a habit after, let's say after dove hunting and shooting that shotgun. Boy, I like to really get on the air gun after that for deer season, because you start developing that flinch, whether you realize it or not. And boy, you just sit down and you'll catch yourself with that air gun, because it ain't got no kick, So you'll catch yourself.
Yeah, there's no recoil at all.
Do what?
No recoil at all, and it's a perfect training tool. Exactly.
Shoot you out, and women, kids. Heck, my wife. We had an indoor range set up upstairs. I got an old bow target and put it upstairs, and we were using little bitty targets that the head of the pellet would just barely cover up the bullseye. And hell, my wife outshot us several times up there.
I did the same thing in my living room, just filled a box full of rags and then put targets on that. And we weren't shooting at the bullseye of the target. We were shooting at the numbers that give you the value of the rings on the target. That's what we would shoot at, the small things. It was cool. Just put a dot there somewhere and just try to hit that dot.
Heck yeah.
It's easier said than done, I can tell you that.
Heck yeah. Heck, when I was a kid, we even made spinners with clothes hangers. You know, we'd make a little H-looking thing with a wire hanging down and put a little cardboard piece on there and tape it on with duct tape and set that up and, you know, make that rascal spin around. And, heck, we'd even gamble. We'd, you know, nickel a shot.
Well, you know, that's where it's all at, is bringing in people and making it not necessarily a competition, but something that everybody can enjoy. I think setting up the indoor range is a perfect idea. That's great. You can still have the AC on and still manage things in the home and still get a little bit of practice down.
And there's definitely skill involved in it also, Michael. There's no luck involved when you're shooting at that target, I don't think.
No, and like I say, you get a competition going, you know, my wife, my son, and I would be up there shooting, and boy, the pressure would get on, you know, you're 3 shots deep, everybody's hit their target 3 times in a row, and you don't want to lose.
Yeah,
because the loser does the dishes.
You know, that's what this show's all about, is get people to get a firearm and get out there and do some shooting, have some fun. And if you can't own a firearm, I think you can own an air rifle, can you not?
I believe so.
Pretty powerful air rifles now. I know that. I a break back with a 1,200 feet per second is pretty fast. I'll tell you one thing, it'll kill a pit bull.
Well, I did see at the last show that I went to, there was a guy who had some air guns, and I'm going to be really embarrassed because I can't remember the manufacturer, but they had them all the way up to 357. So he had them from 177 up to 357. And
that large a caliber? How much weight was on that 357? You remember the weight of the pellet?
I don't remember the weight of the pellet, but I know that the 357 moved at about 450 feet per second.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen them shooting hogs with those things.
Pretty good.
So that's good home protection
that's
for someone that can't own a firearm through no fault of their own.
Oh, well, let's just say it's even a 125 grain bullet, which, you know, a 357 is more in the 150, 160 grain range. And, well, if you're even firing a 100 grain bullet at 400 feet per second, that's pretty good impact.
That's going to knock just about anything down, I would think.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. Heck, like I say, I've seen videos of them shooting hogs. If they can take down a hog with that son of a gun, good enough for me.
Hogs are tough,
but you know, oh yeah, the skin is like, well, it's not like an armor like a gar or anything like that, but it's thick skin. Yeah, it's a good tough hide. You know, I mean, they run through the brambles and the bushes and the mesquite and everything, so.
Yeah. You know, that's one thing, you know, I will say is that a lot of these hunting shows, you know, they really play up, oh, they got that armor over their shoulder, you know, impenetrable. And, yeah, some of them big boars, they're big and tough, and they got some big gristle and thick stuff on their shoulder there, but them bullets that go through.
Well, and we're seeing with many developments in hunting, I mean, and the laws have changed for hunting in Texas. I mean, now you can hunt with night vision, and now you can hunt with a silencer if you've got one. You know, these are pretty interesting advances. You know, that in other places would be, well, it would terrorize people.
You can use a night vision scope in Texas?
Yeah, you can use night vision and a silencer now. Hell, you can hunt from a helicopter in Texas.
Yeah, and especially on hogs, man.
Night vision.
That's really shooting ducks on a pond right there now.
I don't know. I've seen a couple videos of it, and it looks like a lot of fun, but, you know, every time I think, all right, well, maybe I'm going to go do this, that's when I always hear about the helicopter crash. And that's not my idea of fun, is the helicopter crash.
Or hanging out of a helicopter shooting hogs. I'd rather be shooting them from the ground, especially if they're a nuisance and they need to be taken care of. I wouldn't want to just shoot them at random just to be shooting something that's alive.
Well, these are more like eradication hunts because, well, yeah, we've got a lot.
Yeah, they really do some damage, man. You know, you get in a field where somebody's trying to grow a crop or something, or heck, even just wildlife or livestock pens. I mean, they can really do some damage, and they really multiply fast. That's one thing people don't realize about hogs. Oh man, you're lucky y'all have hogs down there to hunt. Yes and no. I mean, you've got to take out 80% of the population every year just to keep the population stable.
Really?
Yeah, and that's a lot of hogs, man, because, you know, they can have 2 litters a year, I believe, and I mean, in a lot of counties in Texas now,
I thought they had 3 litters a year.
That I believe that's right. And a lot of counties in Texas, they're the #1 predator right now for livestock in a lot of counties.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, people lose their pet dogs to them. You know, I mean, it's not like they hunt dogs or anything, but if somebody's got, you know, the little Chihuahua or something and it's out running around and a pack of 40 of them come running by, you know.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were such a nuisance.
Oh, yeah,
you could see the tracks of them running through fields, and yeah, it's almost like somebody took a bulldozer through it in some places.
Yeah, so if one of them if you had a garden or something and those things came through your garden, they just tear that thing all to pieces, I guess, wouldn't they?
Yeah, yep, just like you turned a herd of hogs loose in your garden. Exactly.
Oh, God, all that work. Can you imagine that getting close to harvest time and those things come through or something?
Oh, man. One place I hunt here in Texas, up in the hill country, up above Austin, around Fredericksburg there, we just had hogs move in there within the last 7 years or so. And the first time that I saw one up there, I was walking around that day, and it was in the summertime, and I kept seeing these big old rocks flipped over. And my head was telling me armadillos. But I mean, they're too damn big to be armadillos. You know, and shoot, man, sure enough, my dog chased one by us that day, and I just had my .22, and it caught me by surprise. I wouldn't have been able to get a shot at the hog even. And but later that deer season, I shot one up there. And those hogs up there in that rocky country have calluses on their nose, on their snouts.
Oh, wow.
Just where they just rubbed on the rocks, snorting for stuff?
Yeah, man, that's some rough country up there, you know, and over there flipping them rocks and stuff. I mean, they actually have a thick callus built up on their snouts. Wow. And the deer got scarce up there, too, for about 4 or 5 years there. You see that place, you could walk off, it's the hill country. You could walk off 100 acres any direction from the house, sit down under any tree, and see 15, 20 deer, no problem. Well, there for about 4 or 5 years, I mean, you might go 4 or 5 days and see 4 or 5 deer in that whole 4 or 5 days. I mean, and all the hog scat I was finding had deer hair in it. I think they learned how to catch them little ones underneath the feeders.
Well, yeah, no doubt something happened to them.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, and I started working on them immediately up there. You know, as soon as I'd see them out there, I started working on them. And you know, some of the other family members up there ain't such big hunters. They want to ride around on 4-wheelers all the time and ride around the Jeep, never get out and sit, never get out and walk. You know, and so well, heck, you ain't gonna just ride up on them all the time. And especially if you're bouncing over a bunch of rocks, they'll hear you 500 yards away or further, you know.
Yeah.
You ain't never going to get an eyeball on them.
Jeez. Yeah, walking's the only way. Is that the way you deer hunt also? How do you deer hunt? Do you go in a stand, or what's your preferred method to hunting deer?
No, I don't I've never had a stand. I always just have, you know, walk out and sit down under a tree and be still, you know. I've never had a stand like most hunters have, or a feeder. You know, I've got cousins and family members that have feeders and stands, but I don't, you know.
Bait them in, yeah. Makes life a little easier to bait them in, I guess.
Well, you know, don't get me wrong. I believe in having feeders on a place, but I think that ought to be a sanctuary where you don't never hunt them there. And, you know, let's say a 300-yard buffer around there, whatever, but you don't hunt them at there. That's their safety spot. And that way you'll always have deer in your place. You know, instead of running them off to the neighbors, they know they can run there and be safe anytime.
Yeah, that's a good philosophy. It really is.
And it really helps, too, to keep an eye on what kind of numbers of deer you have on your place. You know, you can't afford a helicopter survey like some of these guys. You know, you can Go out there and sit and watch a feeder. You can see how many deer you got in your place, or get an idea anyway.
And a game camera only costs about $100, and with a chip and a game camera, that's 4 days worth of pictures every time there's motion.
Yeah, those are good stuff, man. I've just got one. I don't have a bunch of them. I've just got one, but those game cams are pretty cool.
So why has there not been a Bigfoot picture taken yet?
Good question.
Because he doesn't live down here, man. It's hot.
No, Bigfoot lives everywhere. That's what I've been told.
We got chupacabras down here.
Oh, okay.
Somebody caught one of those, or they said they caught one, but I saw the picture of it, and it looked like it was like more of a possum with the mange or something.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like a coon with a mange.
More possum. Yeah. We're talking about Hillary Clinton or Hillary Clinton.
Oh, please now, please.
She made some big time gun news, didn't she, Michael? What's the gun news on Hillary this week?
Well, Dan, Hillary gave an interview on CNN the other night with Christiane Amanpour. And
one of our favorite reporters from CNN.
Absolutely, one of our favorites.
Married to the ex-Fed chairman.
Robert Rubin. That's right. One of the many Rubins in the Clinton cabinet at that time.
There you go. Anyway, what did Hillary say?
Well, I'll give you the direct quote from this interview. It was, "We cannot let a minority of people, and that's what it is, a minority of people, hold a viewpoint that terrorizes the majority of people," Clinton said in response to a question during the town hall forum. "You are the fifth person in the past few weeks, parents, another teacher, interested citizens, who said something similar to me." And that's her speaking in direct response to the question on the gun ban. And her idea for the gun ban is a ban on all handguns and all semi-automatic rifles. Doesn't matter if it's magazine.
That Violence Policy Center?
That's right. Violence Policy Center has called for a 100% ban on handguns and on semi-automatic rifles. So that leaves you with bolt-action rifles and single-shot break opens.
Well, do you have a website where we can go sign up for this Violence Policy Center?
I'll tell you here.
Sounds like one we need to really check out there.
That's right. Violence Policy Center. I don't actually have their website.
Ban all handguns. They want to ban all handguns and all semi-automatic rifles.
That's right. They're very scared of detachable magazines, and they're promoting detachable magazines as a revolution in the firearms industry that's unparalleled and has never been seen before. Well, except for the fact that the first firearm that held a magazine was made in 1886.
Yeah, really. Good God.
So it's really unrivaled technology since 1886, I guess. It's,
Heck, that air rifle that Lewis and Clark carried had a magazine on it that was pretty impressive.
That's right. So, and Lewis and Clark was in 1818 or something like that, 1820.
Man, that sounds about right.
Google, quick, Google.
Yeah.
Clark.
Well, no matter what it is, even if we're off by a couple of years, it's over a century ago.
That's amazing.
What I've read is them demonstrating that air rifle to some of these Indians they came across in their core discovery there is what actually kept them from getting attacked. They think is because it had such awesome firepower these guys had never seen, and evidently it's kind of loud too. And they never emptied it all the way, but it impressed these tribes they come across evidently.
Yeah, air rifles are loud. They're I can tell you right now, an air rifle is louder than a Silence 22.
Oh, heck yeah.
Well, my experience with the muffling devices has been clandestine in its nature, so I can't really comment on that.
Well, I tell you that stuff you was talking about just then, Michael, is It sounds real similar to the stuff they pulled in Australia. We had this bad shooting, ban the guns, and then next thing you know, all the people that lived in the cities outvoted all the people that lived in the country, and they had turned their damn guns in.
Well, that's exactly what is being proposed. President Obama has, in the past couple of days, also given several interviews where he's praised the Australian gun ban model. And, what
exactly is that model? Take everybody's firearms away from them, or
everybody's firearms were let's see, it was all pistols were taken, and all semi-automatic rifles were taken. You can have a semi-automatic rifle if you live in a rural area and you sign an affidavit every 6 months, and you're inspected and registered and investigated. If you're in the city, there's no need for you to have anything.
Wow.
So while they have had the rare instances of mass shootings decline, what they have had a dramatic increase in is every other violent crime.
Armed robberies, etc. Like that.
Armed robberies, strong arm robberies, knife crimes, home invasions have gone through the roof. And to be honest with you, it still hasn't stopped the mass murder effect, because there have been 4 mass murders in Australia since that happened, and they've been done with homemade guns or illegally kept firearms. So criminals are going to criminal, and if you and I can make it less easy for them criminals to go criminaling about, they're not going to criminal around as much.
You're exactly right. And the most dangerous places to be are gun-free zones. You know that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I truly think that, with the exception of one, all of the mass shootings that garner all the attention have been in gun-free zones.
Michael, let's talk about the 4 rules of gun safety, the PrimerTime rules. Let's bring those up right now.
Dan, I'm going to tell you this. Every firearm is loaded. Every firearm is treated as it's loaded until you visually and inspect that weapon. You open that slide, you remove the magazine, open the action, flip out the cylinder, take the bolt out, make sure that there is no cartridge in the chamber.
Then you're safe with it, right?
That's a safe weapon, is the one that's got no ammunition in it.
That's right. You're always aware of the muzzle direction, which way that thing's pointed. And also, when you get ready to shoot something, you need to be aware of your target and what's around it and what's behind it, because you're not going to always hit your target. And what's that 4th rule, Michael?
Dan, I think it's the most important rule of all, and it
is.
Keep the booger hook off the bang switch. Firearms do not discharge on their own. You need somebody to depress the trigger for it to happen. If you don't depress the trigger, it does not discharge. So there's no accidental discharges. They're all negligent. And with Hillary basically breathing down our necks, we don't need to give her any help.
You're absolutely right. No such thing as an accidental discharge.
And the push for gun control is on. And we see it everywhere. I mean, Bloomberg's got an organization, Every Town for Gun Safety, where they're hiring people like crazy to make cold calls to people, and you follow a script and you go ahead and you collect your check for basically pestering somebody on the phone. Well, that's the anti-gun forces at work. They've got a lot of money.
So we can get a job working for the anti-gun people right now? Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Just give them all your pertinent information, Dan.
And I can be an anti-gun person during the day and a pro-gun person at night?
That's right. You can agree to have every one of your phone calls monitored, and at any time, if they think that you're not following the script, they will cut you off.
No more money goes back into the account, huh?
That's right. And, well, then at that point, they've got your Social Security number. So, and, it's Bloomberg, so you're going to put anything past them? I think you'd go out.
What's the paying starting out anyway?
I believe it's $13 a call.
$13 a call, huh? So you just try to get somebody not to hang up on you?
I guess, and you spout all the talking points, and really that's what it is. It's talking points. It's phrases conjured up to garner the knee-jerk response, and each one of these talking points are easily destroyed by anybody with a medium amount of common sense.
I guess they just go down the list of census workers they had and got a whole list to hire from right there.
That, or they take the recently fired TSA employees. I did see something that there's been 450 TSA employees arrested. I just think that's
for amazing. Inappropriate behavior or what?
Everything ranging from indecent exposure to child pornography to kidnapping to smuggling to theft to weapons violations, all sorts of things. Yeah, they're getting the cream of the crop for that. But something I did recently see was some TSA agents were arrested for stealing firearms out of luggage of travelers. So
nice.
That's something
you're trying to sneak a gun. I don't guess you're going to go and ask them for it, are you?
Well, this is in checked luggage, so this is something to be aware of.
On
top of that, they're getting ready to arm the TSA, so maybe they won't steal any more firearms at that point.
They won't have to then, will they?
Yeah, I've actually read an article before that said when you're flying to pack a starter pistol in not your carry-on, of course, in your checked baggage, just because you get to lock it up, and it doesn't get unlocked unless you're standing there, is what they claim. But so much for that theory, I guess.
I believe that the claim of nothing's open until like you're in front of it is a lie. I think that's truly a lie. Because if you see every one of the TSA approved luggage locks, which you have to use if you're going to be using a locked luggage, the TSA has a key to it. That's why it's TSA.
Hey, I'd like to change subjects for a second and talk about the knife sharpener that Captain Gringo has. Captain, tell us about that knife sharpener.
Oh man, it's a Work Sharp Kid Onion edition, and I got it for Father's Day. It was one of those things. I went to him and told him, "Look, this is what I want. If I don't get it, I know y'all don't love me." So, and it worked. But I tell you, I'm a sucker for knife sharpeners. I've been a commercial fisherman in the past, and I always butchered meat and everything, and so I'm a sucker for a good, quick knife sharpener. And, man, this thing really works. It's kind of pricey, but if you use a lot of knives and like I do, it's worth every penny. Heck, my pocket knife has never been this sharp, and I'm not too bad with a whetstone, but, man, this thing really works. It's adjustable angles everywhere from 30 to 15 degrees. You can sharpen lawnmower blades with it. Scissors.
Really? And it's automatic. You plug it in the wall, I guess.
Yep, it's 110 powered, and to me, it's overbuilt. The motor's stronger than it needs to be, and I've just been nothing but impressed with it, man. I've even sharpened my cleaver up that I've cleaned my gar with, and it had some pretty big chips in it from abusing that thing over the years. And shoot, man,
what's the brand name again of this thing?
It's a Work Sharp. They sell them at Bass Pro, and I think Northern Tool sells them also.
Okay, Work Sharp.
It's the Ken Onion edition, and Ken Onion's a knife designer. He's designed knives for different companies, Kershaw and some different ones.
I like Ken Onion knives. I have a Kershaw 1660, and that is my favorite pocket knife. And that's a Ken Onion design.
And anyway, so hey, that's my knife sharpener, man. But like I say, kind of pricey. But if you use knives and you it's easier to cut yourself with a dull knife than it is a sharp knife. And follow the directions in the little book. heck, change out the belts. It's like 4 strokes a side or so, and it takes a little while to get the hang of it. Don't start with your favorite knife or anything, but works like a champ.
Well, that's neat. You know, knives go with firearms, go hand in hand with firearms, so I figured we'd mention that for a minute. Michael, I got to chat with Nick on Skype today, and he's telling me he's waiting to come home on July the 8th. So, bless his heart, I hope he makes it home safely.
That's one of my biggest concerns right now. He's done what I would consider to be above and beyond the call of duty. I don't think he sees it that way. I think he just sees it as his job. But it's time for him to come home.
I think so too.
Guys like him are needed here, so I can't wait for him to get back. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was looking at it, and it's only 2 weeks. Just 2 more weeks. If he can make it 2 more weeks, he's on his way back. So that's great.
Yeah, I think he will. You know, he's pretty squared away, and he's good at what he does. And I don't think any difficulties are going to come from his activity.
Yeah.
So let's hope that we don't go to war anywhere in the next 2 weeks.
No shit. That's a possibility, though. You never know.
Well,
wouldn't that be a trip for him to get called to Iraq or something like that? Oh God.
Oh, that would. Yeah, I think we'd have more people just a little more angry at the situation.
I was around. I saw the people protesting the Vietnam War, and I can't believe nobody protests wars anymore. It's incredible. You know,
there's not.
I was going to say, everybody's too busy working, making money to pay for their tap dancing lessons and lessons for the little kids, Little League. You know, it's crazy, man.
Well, I didn't go to the protest, but I shared it on Facebook. So
you made a real difference, I'll bet. Then
that's right. You know, stood up and pixels for justice.
You're in your dogma snuggie, as Kevin Blanche would say.
Yeah. Well, you know, I believe that people are starting to shed that dogma snuggie as the temperature rises. So,
you know, they are.
We're coming to
firearms.
That's right, Dan. I mean, I see people everywhere realize what's going on with the firearms, and it is becoming a great divide in this nation. And well, to be honest with you, every talking point, every meme that they come up with, that the anti-gun forces come up with, they're easily refuted with just simple logic. They have nothing but knee-jerk reactions. So as long as we can keep our cool, we're going to do all right. And the big thing is a lot of these people aren't anti-gun. They just don't want people like you and I to have a gun. They sure as hell want the man to have a gun, and they want the man to come and take our guns. They're not going to get up and do it, but they want somebody else to do it. So we've at least got that going for us. And also, I think...
Michael, I saw a thing posted today about where the, I guess the UN is soliciting people to confiscate guns in America or something. I don't know. It was posted...
Yeah, I saw that as well, and it is a real job posting, and it's for a DDR, and it's a disarmament specialist, is what the job is. And
sounds like a dangerous job.
It sounds like a job with a very short lifespan, especially in everywhere south of the Mason-Dixon line, I'd say. And I'm sure some of our friends in the northern states would have something to say about it. I think the voices are going to be a little bit louder down south, but
pretty crazy.
Times are changing.
I want to thank you for coming on the air with us tonight. I want to thank Jules. Michael, take us away.
Well, I'd like to thank Gringo for coming on. Man, thanks for being here, and thanks for giving us a good time. Everybody, PrimerTime Live after dark.
Thanks for having me, guys.